All right, we are now recording. I'm going to bring our meeting to order. This is March 13th, 2023, 5:30 Personnel Committee meeting. And I have to get rid of this notes section. Okay, so our first item that we have tonight is our transition to Skyward Matrix relative to the CPI increase on the cell, and that is reflective of the sheet that Angela just brought up to us. So this is just an information piece. So Angela, you have the floor.
Yes, and then Mike, after I'm done, just feel free to chime in if I miss anything. So this is kind of looks like a complex multiplication table in front of you, and this is what is the draft matrices in Skyward. And to give you an idea, if you look at the upper left-hand corner, this is basically how the pays are laid out right now, currently. And when we show the salary schedule, if you may, to anyone who asks what it is. So it's like a wide open range. If you see like a level 2, which is in the third column, the minimum is $45,449 and the maximum is $65,836. Okay, so what happens every year, this sort of table is increased what that CPI percentage is. Okay, and that amount was always applied to what was called the base. Okay, so there were really like up to three potential ways staff would receive increases. All of them would receive the CPI increase just on the base. Okay, and that is since I've been in the district, and I think historically been the largest point of confusion. Okay, so when someone looks at their wage and they think, oh, I'm going to get 3%. Oh, not on that. Oh, what is that? What do I get?
Like thinking like, here's my wage right now today, 3% on that, which it wasn't. Okay,
correct. And then there's like a step increase. Okay, so essentially what we'd like to move to and are suggesting, because this is very much the model that other districts use, is that this whole table below is built to kind of transition us into the new system, and really increasing the base, if you will not change. So like, let's say we end up doing 4 or 5% next year. This schedule will increase 4 or 5%, like all the numbers tied to it. So like the $45,449 would increase that percentage amount. So let's say it's 4%, and then all the other cells would calculate off of that. Yeah. So it means each column would be $1,500 more, and then each step is in increments of $1,800. Okay, so that's kind of the notion. And we would move away from increasing just on the base. We would use the total salary. And then for hourly employees, it would be the wage. Okay. The step portion is really what awards longevity for a staff member. Okay. And you can see there's like tenths of steps in here. And you might say, wow, that's crazy looking. And I understand why, but here's the method to my madness on this. We have to essentially pull everyone to the matrix or bring them on. Okay, so when we have these wide ranges, over time, people are all over the place. People aren't in little specific spots. Okay, so for the sake of an example, I used, what if I'm getting $55,000 a year right now? Let's say that's my current salary. Okay, if you would look in column A, all the way down to step 6.3, what I would essentially do with these staff members is let me back up a little bit. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm trying to bring them up micro steps to pull them onto the matrix. So instead of saying, we could have done it in quarter steps, we could have done it in increments, but this places all the steps $180 apart. Okay. So let's say I am making $55,000 and I'm in column A. That's my level. What I'm going to do in the system is place that employee at level 6.3 and run a process that will increase them one step to 6.4. Okay. So that allows me to, just before we do any of the CPI increase or step increases, bring them onto this matrix in Skyward. It allows us to start using our system to process all of the increases, which is really very, very efficient. It's not manual. Right now, we've been doing this manually through Excel spreadsheets. It's very labor intensive. The amount of room for error is multiplied.
Right.
So it's hard to say, there is cost to doing something like this, to making this transition. It's a one-time cost because we have to bring everyone to the matrix, and by making those tenths of steps, and on the hourly schedules, it'll be by 10-cent increments. We're trying to really reduce and minimize the amount of financial impact, okay? But the idea is always for an employee not to lose. So let's say I'm making $55,000 now, I have to put them the step below to run the process and pull them up to the step I want them to be on. But they would really be getting $169 in this case added to their salary.
Right.
Which is minimal in the grand scheme of their full salary. So you can see kind of if I were, in any one of the categories where that will kind of place me, it's puts you the step below and then we'll pull it up. So it's kind of a complicated process. I hope this helps. So the other thing that, the total financial impact, which you may, because we have about 410 teachers, and then we have, I'm just guesstimating between, 225, 250 hourly staff. This could cost at the most $125,000 to make the one-time shift, okay? But in most cases, it will be less per employee that will be paying. What I'm trying to minimize is, you're getting $450 more, I'm getting $2 more. He's getting 300 more, you're
Sure.
getting $10 more. Because then there's more room for well, you're not getting what I'm getting, that kind of a
Right.
thing. So there is a financial price tag to this. This would be something that I would recommend that we take outside of the regular CPI increase and step increase because of the inequities in what it will bring. Everyone will get a little something extra. It's just not the same amount extra. And when I say a one-time adjustment, that we would earmark this to basically come out of fund balance if it would be, something that we need to do. And then moving forward, when someone's hired, Mike would look and he would put someone on, he could put someone on any of the steps, but we would just have to keep the multitude of steps because of where we're at right now.
Right.
Or we could compress them over time. So was a lot of information. I hope that makes some sense.
Oh, it does. I think we talked about this once before when we were talking about Skyward.
Yeah, I did mention it, but I didn't really give a concrete example,
Right.
and it's complex to see it just because unless you really think of it from how it would affect one person specifically, that would be it. If we would give an increase, it also would allow. Typically, we give $1,800 steps each year, but it would allow the board to say, well, we're going to give a quarter step, we're going to give a half step. So it's where there's a way to manage it over time, which could work to our benefit as well. So, Mike, did I miss anything on that? Feel free to chime in.
No, I think you did a great job, and I think the major takeaways are that nobody goes backwards,
Mhm.
everybody goes forward. But Angela's done a nice job of making that forward movement pretty compacted, and because in a previous district we had a situation where some people got $100 increase when we made the transition, and some people got $1,000, and that caused problems. People were upset about some of that stuff. So I think Angela's done a nice job of making the movement more compatible and contracted for people. And I do think that at the end of the day, when somebody gets we just use the example of 3% increase, CPI of 3%. Now they can say they truly got a 3% CPI, and that alleviates a lot of that confusion. And I think at the end of the day, that's where we need to be. In the previous districts I've been in, they all use Skyward, and they all use what Angela has demonstrated here this evening. So I think you've done a nice job, Angela.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
just a question, what is the difference between left and right?
Okay, no, good question. So the left, or the one on the right, the one on the left is the main teacher matrix. So we have some positions where like our program support teachers, our SFA coordinators would fit on this. Our student learning, student success leaders, like our deans,
Yeah.
all receive like an extra 5%
Okay,
on their contract.
so
or,
they would be the right side.
correct. And so
So
really
that's-
all that is just 5% more of what the left is.
Okay.
So it just, what we're trying to do too is we have, Ken's spreadsheets were a work of art. I mean, they're like, wow. And then I've really been looking at them with Mike and with our new HR generalist, Jennifer Blake Krieger. And there are just some things that we need to separate out of these spreadsheets to make them work better. Because some things are just built-in stipends that need to be separated and don't belong being incorporated into contracts. So.
So if I come in as a teacher, with a bachelor's, I'm at number 1, step level 2.
Yes, and that'll be called column, or like, it'll be column A moving forward. So
Okay.
that's another adjustment to, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
where, but then based on, their credits and units and their 12 credit increments from left to right.
Yep.
And so based on years of experience, Mike can speak to his, I think he's, covered that with you guys already, but he can speak to that more. He may give someone 5 years of experience
Oh, I
credit
see.
if they
Okay.
have that. And so he might start them at B5, which would be 54,149. So,
So, and
So-
then, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so there's, everybody's equal on this, right? I mean, if you have a bachelor's degree in home ec, you get the same thing as somebody with a bachelor's degree in chemistry, right?
yeah,
Aren't there,
Yeah.
aren't there teachers
Yes.
that are hard to get in certain fields? So
If it-
don't you have to pay
yeah.
them more, sort of?
Well, let me respond to that, Carrie, if I can, Angela. It wasn't too long ago that we did struggle with certain areas, Carrie. But I would have to, in my opinion, my viewpoint today, I don't think there's any area that's not difficult to find anymore.
Okay.
It's just, yeah.
So there's not a market,
Teachers.
incentive there, sort of, yeah.
Mhm.
And I guess-
Okay, but they are all equal, right?
Yeah, they're once
Yes.
placed and initially treated equal, correct? And then
Okay.
there's like a matrix like this for administrators too. And so that as well as like $2,000 for the step. So that's $200 in between everyone to bring everyone to that. And then with the hourly employees, I'm going to, that one I initially put in the system as 25 cents, but over thinking about that and narrowing the inequities and just making sure that we're real, a similar approach using tenths. So.
Okay, so now and you said 125,000?
At the worst case scenario,
Yes.
I'm for sure that'll come in less just from the standpoint of not everyone's gonna get that full amount, you know what I mean?
Okay.
It might be more that are, in this case, if I were, if I were in the A column, it'd be $169. It would be, if I was in column B, it would be $49, $109 in C, $169.49.
Was
So
that budgeted with the Skyward? No, okay.
No. So that's where I'm saying this would be a one-time fund balance. And because it's a one-time adjustment, fund balance would be appropriate for that. And we may be able to absorb it within the budget. It could end up being just $55,000.
Okay.
I'm just trying to tell you guys what the
Worst
worst
case scenario
would
is.
be.
Okay.
Yeah. And I should, by the time in April, when we get to saying like, this is what we know now,
Mhm.
I'll be able to tell you more concretely because Jennifer and I are going to do an extensive amount of work in the system between now and then, and we'll be able to run them.
Okay,
We just haven't we're on the brink of that work.
Okay.
So, and we can wrap it into the formal approvals too, if that would be appropriate since it includes fund balance to say, this is the amount that's gonna be to make this adjustment. That is the formal process we should follow.
okay. All right.
Angela, do you think it would truly have to come out of fund balance? I mean, where I'm trying to go with this is that usually at the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th, I'm just saying usually, I mean, this is your area of expertise, not mine,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
usually most districts have a surplus, obviously, because we have to, anyway, usually have a surplus. And my question would be is, if indeed you were able to pull the 100,000 out of this year's budget, would you do that, or would you still prefer to go to fund balance?
I think even though districts usually, and we have had to like a surplus, what ends up happening is it gets recorded into fund balance as of the end of the fiscal year. So it's kind of this, it's both, like that money gets rolled into fund balance, but then you
You
have to
take it
take it out. So, yeah.
Okay.
I
So-
know what you're saying though, yeah.
Nice,
If we were paying it this year and saying, okay, we're gonna give you that little chunk, then we could handle it out of this year, but I think we would just roll it into next year.
Okay.
I'm wondering, Angela, if, do you think we'd get calls on this as board members?
No one's gonna get impacted negatively. It's gonna
Right.
it's gonna take
Yeah.
education on our part to, and maybe Mike and I could maybe make a cameo video or, or just, try to explain, because it is a little more complicated, and I think it would help to have more of I'd be happy to make a video that says, okay, if I'm making $55,000,
The way
like
you
I just
explained it to
explained it
us.
to you guys.
Well, and I'm even
Yeah.
thinking, would you mind, I think it would be helpful since, I'm sure not every board member, they have that right to not watch all these meetings.
Sure.
Would you just send out a little memo?
Yes,
Because it's not gonna come up at a regular board meeting.
correct. And I could put it on the next finance and budget meeting too. We would
Yeah,
say
And
this,
just
but
put,
yeah.
just put out a little
Boy.
memo, just
Mhm.
highlighting, this is what we're doing, and, if you have any questions, contact me.
Yes.
So then at least everybody is aware of it
Right.
in their email that, oh yeah, I heard of that before.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I remember last year, we did the bonus, and-
Right.
And honestly, I was stunned how many people. were in.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just because then they're like,
Right.
oh yeah, that's
Right.
what this is.
Yeah.
So that would be helpful, I think.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem. And I think too, really, I think that employees will be relieved and happy, the ones that truly understand that base increase to
Yeah.
wage increase. I think
definitely.
they're gonna be, because we get calls on it every year. Well,
Yeah.
how come I only went up this much? And it's like, well, it's only, I mean,
Right, it'll clarify
Right.
what you're actually getting, which is great.
and we'll also be able to publish the matrix on Skyward so that they'll be able to see it and say like, oh, so that means that, I'll be able to be here next year or whatever, I
Right.
mean, if we do, that's the part to see, like, if we do a half step, it's gonna be $900. If it's gonna be, or, whatever that, like, the 5/10, so, that might not be exactly it, but, because it's $180 increments, but at least, they could at least see kind of what the process will be and anticipate a little
Sure.
more.
Great. Okay, well, thank you for that.
You're
And
welcome.
working so hard to get that to line up. I'm sure
We're
it's
working on
ahead.
it, so we're in progress. Thank you.
All right, so let's move to our handbook. We got a lot of, I had, tasked Mike with really kind of looking through our employee handbook, and he found some things to go through. So we're just gonna whip through these. Mike, take it away.
Okay. Like Stacy said, I looked through the teacher handbook. I have not looked through the non-teacher handbook or any other, or the administrator handbook like I did this one. But this one I spent a couple hours on, read through it. Anything that popped out at me, kind of highlighted, made a note of it, and then came back to it just recently and made some tweaks here and there. Nothing of huge substance, but basically, I would say it's more like we cleaned it up. We cleaned it up with a lot of pieces. So let me jump into it here, and I'm gonna go into the board book here. So the first one here is basically, we talked about this at our last personnel committee piece, and so I went out and I contacted Green Bay, Oshkosh, and Fond du Lac. They all do the first day of employment. Contacted Beaver Dam, Sheboygan, and Manitowoc, which we're at, obviously. We all do the first day of the month following the first workday. So I talked to Angela about this a little bit more, and she made a really good point. She said, when somebody leaves us, so let me give you an example. Today is March 13th. If somebody were to leave us today, they have their health insurance paid for the rest of the month. If somebody were to start with us today and we had first day of employment, we'd be paying health insurance on 2 people for the rest of the month. So we decided that the first day of the month following the first workday was fiscally a better option. And the other important thing there is that there hasn't been any problems with the way we've been doing it. So our recommendation is that we continue with the practice and change the handbook language to reflect the practice.
The policy was first day of employment, but it wasn't being done that way, as you explained the last time. It wasn't being done that way. It was being done, according to the proposed language now. And I thought you were going to change it back to say, oh yeah, let's just make it clear, first day of employment. But I get the sort of the agenda there.
Yeah.
So we would need a motion to approve that, correct?
So let me ask you this, Stacy. Good question. Help me. Are we going to go through every one of them and have a vote to approve, or do we go right to the end and do it one time? I don't know process.
We should do each one.
I think we should do each one just in case there is a dissenting vote.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Then we wouldn't have to remember which one that was.
Okay.
So I look for a motion in a second to approve the new language in the benefits, eligibility, and payment.
Yeah, I'll move. We accept that because that's the way it's been the practice now, even though that hasn't been the statement of policy. So if it hasn't been problematic,
Right.
Let's just be consistent with the practice.
Yes, I'll second it.
Okay. So we will move that on to the full board. We have a motion in a second. All in favor of that? Aye. We'll move that forward. Okay, our next one is the post-employment benefits.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's some language here that it's just flat out not even applicable any longer. The last sentence of the current language basically says that employees who choose to notice the district of retirement after January 3, 2019, but prior to March 15, 2019, will be eligible for So the language is just not flat out not applicable. So there's no reason to have the language in there anymore.
Yeah.
So the recommendation is just basically to delete that last sentence.
This has nothing to do with pensions, right? This has nothing to do with pensions.
Correct. When you say
So
pensions,
everybody that retires after 15 years, at least the age of 55, gets,
$100 for each
$100,
year.
$1,500 bucks. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, yes.
Right here is their
There's a
pension
lump
language.
sum, right?
No, it's not pension language.
Okay, what was this coming from? Why are we getting rid of it? We don't do that anymore?
If you look at the dates on that,
Yeah.
the dates are
Oh, yeah.
see
Okay.
the dates. They're back to
Yes.
2019 from
19.
January of 19 to March of 19. I mean,
Gotcha.
it's just not applicable any longer. So I don't know what happened back in 2019 to have that language put in.
Sure.
Yes.
But the
Past.
bottom line is
It's over.
It's
Yeah.
over.
Gotcha.
yeah, it's gone. Yep.
So do I have a motion in second to
Yes.
accept the proposed language?
I'll motion.
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, next one.
Okay. Next one.
C.
Requirement.
Okay.
Another, post-employment,
Yeah,
was that the,
I mean,
I
this
wasn't
was,
sure where there's a difference.
okay. If you look at the first sentence under current language, it says post-employment benefits will be available to teachers of age 55 to 65 who resign.
Oh,
And what we're talking about,
yeah, okay, who
we're
retired?
talking about retire.
Oh, that's the word.
So that's all it is changing the word from resign to retire, because if you resign, you're not eligible for a post-employment benefit. You have to retire with, like, I think you said 15 years and 55, at least 55 years of age. So
Yeah,
it's just a catch that somehow the word retire or resignation, resign was in there instead of retire. That's all.
oh, yeah, that's good, that's good.
all right, do I have a motion and a second
Yeah,
to
I'll move.
approve that?
Sure, I'll
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
All right,
Okay. Okay, next one,
the
Mike.
next one's just editorial, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
It's just editorial to it, Skyward.
This next one, unless I missed one here, hang on.
We're on D.
We're on A3 or A4.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I thought we were
Post-employment insurance.
on,
We're on
D.
We're on A.
3A4D, benefits post-employment insurance.
Yep, that's where we are. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Yep. So there's a sentence in there that says, retirees will have up to 8 years of health insurance paid at 50% of the monthly premium, but not to exceed X amount. Well, back when this language was probably put in, paid at 50%, was a far different number than what it is today, because paid at 50% today, a monthly premium would be probably $1,000 for a family. And at the end of the day, it's not to exceed $500 a month for a family and $250 for a month for a single. So there's no reason to even have that paid at 50% of the monthly premium in there any longer, because the other language, the $500 per month for a family and $250 a month for a single, is exactly what the practice is and what the district goes by.
Oh, that's what the practice is.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
motion.
All right,
Yep,
second?
second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor,
All
say
right.
aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. On to E.
Okay, E is a very simple one. It's just striking out ASOP and putting
Right.
in Skyward, because we've made the transition to Skyward and Frontline. That's all there's to that.
Yeah, I'll motion.
Yeah, that's just cleaning it up.
Yep,
Yeah.
cleaning it up.
Second,
Yep, second.
okay, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay,
Okay.
F.
This one is where I need to ask a question here. It says it's about unpaid leave, and it's new language for unpaid leave. All paid leave, including personal days, must be exhausted prior to requesting unpaid leave. Now, when I read that tonight or this afternoon, I thought to myself, all paid leave could be confusing, because somebody could interpret that as sick leave also. And really what the language is trying to say is all paid leave, such as personal days and vacation days, must be exhausted prior to requesting unpaid leave. So my questions for the committee is, can we tweak that tonight, or is that one I'm going to have to bring back? Because I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a question for you. Do we allow the rollover of personal days or vacation days?
No,
Personal days and vacation days, no.
no,
So they can't roll it over to the next year.
no.
Administrators can roll 5, but I'm pretty confident that our 12-month employees in the district, hourly wage employees, cannot.
If they can't roll it over, I'm not in favor of that.
Yeah, I think that's,
I mean, they gotta use it within a year anyway.
yeah, they gotta use it.
But if they decide, you know what, I'm doing okay right now monetarily, I might want to wait till the summer because it's a little thinner in the summer. But I really need to take this day off. I'll take it on. I really don't care if they do that, because I've done that at work myself. If they can't roll it over to the next year, it's not hurting us.
Yeah, why do we need a policy?
Yeah, all you're doing is making them use, what if they had an emergency out of state with a family member? Because I've also had that where I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to take whatever, but I don't want to waste my week of vacation. I got a plan for deer hunt. I'm gonna have to go without pay, but I can handle it, whatever, this, that, and everything. But they would make me suck up my vacation for deer hunting because I got to run out of state because I had a family member die. That's not my fault. I don't know. I'm not in favor of that. That's just my opinion, though. What do you think, Stacy?
I'm trying to understand,
The
what you guys are
point
saying.
is that if they can roll it over, if they can't roll it over to the next year, that's got to be used up within that year anyway. I could see if we allowed them to roll it over, because then they could bank
Right.
whatever, however much for the next year, and just get to the point where, like, you know what, I'm gonna take the entire year off. Okay, then we'd have to use that. But if we force them to use it before the end of the year, I don't care what they want to do with their time. They want to take it paid, unpaid, whatever, as long as it's used up by the end of the year. That's just my opinion, though, Mike, as a worker. I understand you're coming from a different.
This doesn't include sick days, does it?
No,
No, but I understand if you're coming from a different perspective, but as a person who's working an hourly wage, busting their hump, I hate this rule. My job has that rule too, and I hate it.
Yeah, you make some really good points, Matthew.
Yeah.
I mean, in the districts I've been at, this has been a handbook language. And I think the thinking behind it is that, the district prefers that you take your personal days, or in 12-month employees take your vacation days before unpaid leave, so that you're not taking unpaid leave and then taking your time after you take it first. But, in your example, you make a really good point. I don't think I would die on a hill for this language. So, I mean, I could go either way on it. I don't think it's overly problematic for the district.
I wouldn't think so either, and I've never seen any place where people abuse that anyway, because they need to get paid. They're going to have to. This is their time that they've earned, and we've given it to them. They're going to have to use that in their own, mind, monetarily, where they're going to need to use this.
I agree.
If we allowed them to roll it over, I could see, hey, you're going to.
I mean, you're being penalized for having an unanticipated emergency.
I think if we could double check and make sure that they're not allowed to roll it over, if we force them to use it within the year, then I don't see making them, because then you're forcing them to take it when they don't necessarily want to.
I can live with that. I really can. I can live with that. And I'm pretty dang I'm really confident that
But let's not include this in the stuff to look at.
Well, that's the only
so
point.
we would not adopt this one then. You're
Correct.
recommending we change it, and we're saying we're gonna leave it as is?
we're
Yeah, that's
doing-
not, this
we're
is
just-
an addition he wants to add, and I say, I
Right.
don't.
So we're just not going to adopt it. So it just dies right where it's at. And it doesn't move on to the full
Okay.
board.
Okay, so there's no
So it won't
motion,
even
there's
show
no
up.
motion,
Right.
to accept this, so, okay.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
We're good. Moving on.
G,
Personal days.
Personal days. Yeah.
Well, that's all this is that we inserted in the proposed language the document that they have to fill out, which is the personal leave request form, Appendix D. We struck out absent management. That doesn't exist anymore, and just insert a skyward in front line. So
Okay.
nothing.
That's just editorial. Yeah. That was the only thing that I
Yeah.
mean,
and then to just specify that form so they know where to go.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, so do I have a motion and a second to approve?
Motion.
Second.
I
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. H,
So the current language, as you can see, was a little bit obsolete. So we worked with the business office on this and just basically, struck out language that wasn't applicable, added language that was the practice of what we're doing right now. So it's basically exactly what we're doing now, and got rid of anything that was old stuff.
That's what I want to know. We're actually doing this right now. They're getting paid by
So they paid bi-weekly.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That
It makes sense.
if it's already being done, then that's what
It's
they're used
just been
to.
Is everybody getting bi-weekly pay, or can you still decide that you want to be paid for the 9 months?
Well, you get bi-weekly, but what you're referring to is they can choose 22 pay periods or 26 pay periods. And that's right, and that's right in the language, Stacy.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, 22 and 26. Okay, I see that.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
do I have a motion in a second?
Sure.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, aye.
Okay. Whoops, J. Whoops, I must have got.
It's just a raise of $10.
The substitute teaching one.
Yep, I'm there. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's just $20 was in there from the past, and it's $30 per class period. I think it's been like that for a year or 2 or 3. I'm not quite sure, but that's what it is. So that's just, once again, cleaning it up.
Mike, does this also cover what we've talked about in the past with if you're doing a special, remember that we've
Yes,
talked,
yes,
that's
yes,
all, okay.
yes. That's it. That's
It's just
the
30 across the board, doesn't matter what
Doesn't matter
course
who
you're
you are,
teaching.
yeah.
If you give up your preparation period because you have to fill in for somebody, you get the $30 for that prep period you lost.
Okay,
Doesn't seem like a lot, but.
okay, all in favor of the new language? I'm sorry, actually, I need a motion in a second.
Yeah, I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
I mean, if they've been settling for 20 now. It just
Right.
seems like this is just for inflation.
Okay, J,
All right.
curriculum and summer work.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, the old language is obsolete. Basically, what's happening right now is a summer school teacher gets paid at the rate of $27.50 an hour, and then the reason they're getting 32 is because instead of having $27.50 an hour plus 15 minutes of $17.50, which is the prep time, they just took the 15-minute rate to like $4.50, added the $27.50 and $32. So we pay the summer school rate at $32, and it includes their prep time. So it just made it, that's what the practice is. It's simple.
Oh, so that's what the practice is, huh?
Yeah.
What's the difference between curriculum work and preparation time?
Try direct
Prep-
instruction.
Preparation time. Curriculum work is obviously working on curriculum, and that's, I believe, I think that's at $18 an hour, isn't it?
Well, it sounds a lot like preparation time is what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, preparation time, Matt, is if you or I are teaching a course, any type of thing, and we have X amount, we pay X amount of prep time for prepping for that course,
Okay.
and that's what that is. And so in summer school,
Oh, if you
It's-
have a new course coming up, you have to.
Pardon me.
I'm sorry.
If you have a new course coming up or what? Or
No,
if you
no,
have a
no,
course that
no.
you're replacing?
no. So I'm referring to summer school.
Okay, yeah.
They pay like
Oh, okay,
17.
okay.
Yeah, when you prep for a class, if you're teaching summer school, they pay $17.50 an hour. But instead of, it's just, they took 1/4 of that, or 15 minutes, that's $4.50, added it to the $27.50 that they're paying per hour. And they said, we just pay for every hour you teach, you get $32 an hour. It's just simplified payroll and a bunch of things like that. So it's the practice, nothing changes other than updating and cleaning up the language, because it was like $23 in the language, which I don't know how long ago that was, but it's probably a few years ago.
I got two things. One, I think we can eliminate effective July 1st, 2017.
Yeah, why not?
Why would we need to have that in there if that's our,
Why doesn't it just start with compensation for curriculum work? Yeah,
Right.
Effective.
Good
yeah.
point.
Cut that
So I
out,
would
yeah.
remove that, and then, to Matthew's point, should there be a definition in there of what curriculum work is versus compensation for summer school instruction? I mean, is that,
If I was a summer school instructor, when I was doing curriculum work and it's $18 an hour, I would be like, this is prep time for me. You might call it curriculum, but I call it prep time.
Yeah.
I just,
well, it sounds like $32 is if you're actually going to be the teacher
If you're
doing the
teaching,
work. The
Right.
curriculum work would be is if you've been called in the summer to, let's use the ELA example, right? Let's say you're working on looking at a new curriculum, you're only gonna get $18 because you're not standing in front of that.
Right.
I still
Yeah.
don't see a teacher with a degree's possibility of being a step 6 with a master's degree coming in and working on curriculum for $18 an hour, and that's the
Well,
person
they've
I
done
want
it
working on
forever.
curriculum. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just an opinion. I'm throwing opinions out there.
It's just, to tide you over for the summer.
Yeah, I want to pull you away from the most important time away from your family, but I'm.
I mean, yeah, it's how you afford, well, where I taught it, it's like, no matter what rank or what degree you had, if you wanted to teach summer school, it was a flat rate per course.
How much time
Yep.
do we have? How many hours do we end up logging for curriculum time? Is there a way to look into that?
I'd have to look into it.
Well, the reason why I say that is
Yeah.
because if it's a minimal hourly, something that we normally, it's a few hours here and there per teacher or whatever that they end up doing, or maybe in the summertime, they may
Yeah.
spend a week doing it or something like that. I say get rid of that.
I don't know, I still just think it's so vague. Like, for instance, let's say you wanted to come in during your summer and work on SFA just because you wanted to. We're not gonna pay you
No,
$18
no, I
an
think it's,
hour.
I think it's,
Correct.
I think there's a contractual.
This would have to be, for example, one of the things that I think Jamie's working on is curriculum mapping. And most districts have certain curriculums that get updated and revised like every
Right.
5-6 years.
Yeah,
And
right.
what that means is, let's say we're all social studies teachers and our social studies curriculum is up for revision and update. And so this summer, the directors of educational programming, teaching and learning invite us in, and they say something like, we're going to pay you up to 20 hours for all of you to do curriculum work, grades 6 through 12 for social studies. And then we get paid at the rate of whatever hours we turn in, we get paid at the rate of $18 per hour to write that curriculum. That then goes to the board to be approved.
That
So
makes
that's what that
sense.
looks like.
Right, it's just either.
Do we have teachers that would volunteer for that?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Either
I
do
would-
curriculum in the summer
Well, I know
or
that
you
it's,
paint houses.
I think it's, Matt, when you look at all the stipends we have for everything, there are stipends for people to be the advisor for the prom committee.
I understand, but I look at it as this is a job still as well. Say me, I quote unquote, say I make 30 some bucks an hour. I come in to work to do some extra work. They're not gonna pay me half that. They're gonna actually take that extra half and put that on top of my wage, and I'm gonna get 45 bucks an hour.
Right.
Yeah,
but-
they don't do it that way. in the
Right,
summer.
and-
So we pay them less to do more.
Well,
For
and
sure.
it's the summer. So they get the summer off, but if they want the extra money, yeah, I know what you know. I
Yeah,
know
it's just
you know what I'm
weird to
saying.
me. It's a whole
Yeah.
different ballgame, but yeah,
Yeah,
if this
sure.
is common practice. I'm okay with it.
And the other thing I want to point out, just for what it's worth, is what we're talking about is common in every school district I've ever been in. And I've been in 4 or 5 of them with my teaching career also. So, there's not been a district that pays you your per diem hourly rate as a teacher to write curriculum.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
So
and
I would
it's-
say,
right.
so I would look for someone to make a motion to accept the language with the additional deletion of effective July 1st, 2017.
Right. Oh,
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Right.
Okay, we are on to K.
Okay, I just had to write that down, so I get that down.
So the changes here are that we don't have department heads.
Oh, it's just a-
Correct.
It's a language.
That's all, yep. They call, in Manitowoc, they call them, instead of department heads or department chairs, they call them student learning liaison positions. And at the very end, it was the director of elementary and secondary education. We just put the new title for the new position. Yeah,
I'll make a motion.
Yep, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
That's just
L.
a footnote. And this one you just added SFA.
yep, we added yes,
That's all?
yes, that's correct. We just added the Success for All coordinators to it because they're going to be part of that, the extra days, the 10 extra days, and we, instead of director of educational programs. So we just basically updated it. That's all.
What does IB here stand for?
That's International Baccalaureate, and we don't have that anymore, so we should take that off.
Yeah, I don't know
Oh,
what it is though in this, is it?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
Um,
maybe that's what it could be.
I'll have to find out, but
Baccalaureate. We had a program that was, pretty hopped up, pretty rich program, and they did foreign languages and international stuff. And,
It was a sort of a different way to get your diploma. It was called the International
Right,
Baccalaureate.
it
You wouldn't get your typical
Oh.
diploma, you would get this baccalaureate that some colleges take.
It's like-
Right. right.
No,
I-
higher level.
Higher-
Oh, yeah.
higher level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
And I think,
In our district for, I don't know, maybe 10 years?
yeah, at least I think. Yeah. I know the
Yep.
person who developed.
Well,
and I think the district has gone to advanced placement courses in
Yeah,
lieu of
right. So we should
IBM.
remove IB then, I think. Yeah.
Mhm. So, yeah. So I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it didn't have anything to do with behavior,
No.
intervention behavior, or
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
make a motion to approve with the addition of removing the IB.
Okay. Carrie second?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I wonder what per diem is. Per diem rate is.
For the specialist position, you mean? Or you on to a different
I
one?
said, no. It's the one. Said days will be at the
Oh,
respective
said-
per diem rate of pay. I just don't, I guess somebody knows what that is. Well, Angela knows what that is.
I'm sorry. What do you-
Carrie was wondering about what the, just curiosity, what the, respective per diem rate of pay is. Do you know what the per diem is?
Sure. Like if I'm making, I don't know, just throw a number, $60,000. I divide that by 185.5. That's the teacher contract days. And that's my daily per diem. So let's say that comes out to $350.
Okay, I get that. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Grade preparation, yeah. Just change junior and senior highs to secondary.
Yeah. Well,
That's
Yeah.
the only,
I mean, it's just cleaning it up because the language used to say 5 days. Really, it's 10
that
days.
is,
And then
Yeah.
secondary teachers versus junior and senior high. We don't have a junior high anymore, so we just put secondary teachers. It's just cleaning it up.
Okay,
Motion.
yeah,
second. Okay,
Yeah.
all in favor?
yeah.
Aye. Okay. And the next one is vacancies, Mike, N.
Yeah. This language, I just don't think it's necessary. Before a position is filled, teachers within the system would get 5 work days or 7 calendar days. And this is prior to April 15th. I don't think it's necessary. And the other thing is, I just don't like to be handcuffed at all in this market with teacher shortages. that we didn't have to sit for a week if we had a heck of a candidate that we could pull in and get them to sign the dotted line, seal the deal. And it's just, I think we ought to delete that language.
I agree. I'll motion.
Okay, second.
All in
Makes sense to
favor?
me. Yep.
Aye. Okay.
Oh, yeah, this one,
For individual contracts.
Before I go into that, I just want you to know as a committee that I've shared these proposed changes with Michelle Prusler, and I think that's how you pronounce it, and Ziegler, Dean.
Right, so all our,
MEA officers.
Mhm.
And just so you know, they've looked at it and they have no issues with the proposed changes. So just for your, just so you know.
and just adhere to the statute.
So this language here, once again, to be dictating to the district that we're going to have to hire limited term contracts is just not wise at all, especially in this market.
Yeah, I was wondering why, why would we want to hire somebody up from the term?
Yeah. I mean, to get somebody to come to the district, in August or early September on an LTC is like,
Almost unheard of.
Yeah.
almost unheard of. And it'd have to be somebody that you'd be like, why are they so desperate to come
Well, why
here?
would you want to do that? I mean,
Well,
teachers hired during or after new teacher / mentor leave. I don't even know what that is, mentor leave.
in about the middle of August, they have a 5-day period that's called the new teacher orientation period. So what they're
Okay.
saying is if you hire somebody after that, well, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and here's the thing. If we hire a teacher on a regular contract and they're not cutting it, we either ask them to resign or we tell them we're going to go non-renewal in March. So I mean,
Right.
we have things in place. I just don't think I don't think the language is necessary, and I think it puts handcuffs on the district. I think we ought to delete it.
Okay, so I have a
That's good.
motion in a second.
Yep, I'll move.
Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
Next one we already talked, I thought we already approved that.
We did.
Or it's
Just
just
get rid of
now
extra
being
language.
codified. Didn't we approve this?
We did approve it. We did approve it, Carrie. And
Yeah.
it's just we're now we're getting it into the handbook. That's all. So
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so a motion and a second to approve the
And I'll second.
contract language. Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then our last one here is the reduction in staff reemployment.
We gotta do release of contract.
the language that we're proposing to be struck out is not applicable. The only thing that employees can grieve legally today is workplace safety, discipline, or termination. They cannot grieve a layoff. So that language is not applicable. And when I saw that language,
You can't grieve over the elimination of a position.
Correct.
You could grieve like being unfairly, put out of work,
Right.
but the elimination of a position, I mean, it may be a little semantic, but, yeah.
we-
Motion and a second to
I'll motion.
Carrie, second.
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion about that?
Yeah,
Mike, did you
it
want to
just
say
strikes
anything
me
else?
that well, I guess there was a grievance, wasn't it? It strikes me as Pam and Jason Bull. Is it Jason?
yes,
Jason. Their positions were eliminated. I think they did grieve, I think. Didn't they? Or at
No.
least I guess they have
It was,
there was a legal
it was
negotiation.
different. It wasn't,
It was different.
there was something going on, but it was different than this. They weren't
Yes.
really grieving
It wasn't like a formal
elimination.
grievance process, yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
right, Mike?
Right, correct. There was no grievance.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a totally different scenario. This is where, let's just say we have to lay off an employee or two or teacher. This is a teacher handbook. So a teacher, they cannot grieve being laid off. And in the handbook, it gives a lot of different reasons why you can lay somebody off and da. It just, when I read that, I thought, no. I don't think this is applicable. I don't even think this is within the Wisconsin statute. So I got to tell you, I called Jim Macy, and it was a 30-second phone call. I said, hey, I don't believe this is applicable. He says it isn't. I said, goodbye.
So I'd just like to know what the policy is.
What's this charge for 30
Reduction in force. Is there, when you have to like diminish your labor force by, let's say 50 positions, are there any rights of seniority in that, or how other than arbitrarily do they pick the 50 to
Yeah, there's some language. That's a good question, Carrie. There's language in the handbook. So one of the things, of course, you look at is licenses and certifications to make sure that they're all licensed and certified for what they're teaching. It could be that you have another employee that's had some discipline in recent months, years. That person can be more vulnerable to a layoff. You could have years of service. Seniority doesn't rule the day like it did back prior to Act 10. So years of service could be something that you could put a value on. You could put a value could be put on the administrator's evaluation of you. Whether you're a high performing person or average performing person. So there's variables, and I saw in the language in the handbook that lays out those variables.
It's like it's person specific.
Mhm.
It's not like you said, arbitrary or capricious. I mean, there are some things,
Yeah, it can't be arbitrary and capricious. That's for sure.
So
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this last
Motion.
second, Carrie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Did MEA see this at all?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yep,
They did. Okay.
yep. He said he went through all of them and they were fine.
Okay, that's good.
All right, well, if there's nothing else to come before the committee,
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn, second.
Yeah. So,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mike.
all right.
It's all gonna be on the agenda for the motion.
No,
Okay.
this won't be on the agenda until
The following.
March 29th.
March.
Yeah.
Yep.
March 22nd. What did we end up doing? Is it going to be the 23rd? Because that's when or 22nd when we're at the Capitol. We're not having that night. Are we?
No.
We won't be back. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right.
Okay.
Let me talk to you about an issue.
He does say, just to make sure the recording is on. Is the recording off, Brady?